Good thing I did a lot of that stuff because I can't anymore. And he lied down like a terrible. But I still think a little bit. Well, you know, probably the history of the Trail of Death, where they passed the Indian Removal Act in 1830, requiring the Indians of Indiana to be moved west. Now, wasn't that silly to decide to move all the people that were living here to another state? But that's what they tried to do. They tried to round them all up and march them out. Of course, they didn't get them all, and then hid out, and then didn't come back afterwards. But what happened was they were marched at gunpoint down Rochester's main street, September 5th, 1838. So that's why I have been so interested in it, because it took place right there in the town we were living in, and where my husband was born. He was born in 1932, so he's 90. Gotta throw that in because we had a big 90th birthday party for him. Well, the Trail of Death is recorded by George Winter. The Indiana Historical Society did this book, and maybe you've got a copy of it. If not, you can probably get a used copy for practically nothing over the internet anymore. And some of the things I'll pass around so you can see them closer. This is me in my Potawatomi dress. I chose to represent or impersonate or something. Nassau, because she was a Potawatomi chiefess at Lake Kewaunee, which is now Lake Bruce. And this is the outfit. It's similar to what she wore, because we've got a picture of it thanks to George Winter. And this was her log cabin house. And again, I'll pass it around so you can look at it closer, if you wish. John Tipton did the treaty with him, forcing them to leave. Jesse C. Douglas did a diary. He was with them on the Trail of Death from Indiana to Kansas. And the Indiana Historical Society published his diary. And I don't have it with me, but we can,
That's your.
yeah, that's it. Anyway, we were fortunate, you know, many people who have studied Indian history know about the Trail of Tears. But nobody on the Trail of Tears march kept a diary. And on the Trail of Death, somebody did. So they're always talking about Trail of Tears, Trail of Tears, Trail of Tears. Well, Trail of Death, we have really, really worked on to get it preserved and to keep the history alive for everybody that's interested. We were asked to come down to, where was that in Arkansas? Little Rock, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they wondered why the Trail of Tears only had one historical marker, and we've got 80 on the Trail of Death. I said, well, we didn't wait for the government to do it. We did it. Yeah. Mainly, we found a way to get it done was to have Boy Scouts do it, and they would get the Eagle Award. So most of your Trail of Death markers were done by Boy Scouts, and they raised the money locally, and we helped them with the words to put on the marker. And so you're going to find markers all the way from Chief Menomonee's statue in Marshall County clear out to Kansas.
Don't forget the Girl Scouts.
Yeah, Girl Scouts helped some, but it was mainly Boy Scouts, mainly because we had 3 boys.
Yeah.
We didn't have any daughters. Father Pettit was with them. He was a young priest, and he went with them on the trip, and he kept a diary. But Jesse C. Douglas also kept a diary. So it's well kept, the history. And the Potawatomi have a website that you can look up on your computer. Philippine Duchesne. Oh, I was going to say that every Indian tribe in the United States has their own web page. So if you didn't know that, look them up and they'll have all kinds of history and story and pictures. Every tribe in America has a website. So look at the Potawatomi one. And Philippine Duchesne was a nun who heard about what happened, and she was a missionary to them for 1 year, 1861 or something. See, my memory's failing me. I should have done my research closer, because I forgot everything I knew. Today, there are 5 bands of Potawatomi. You're probably familiar with the Pokagon band, because they're folks here. The Citizen Band was the ones from this area. They became U.S. citizens in 1861, and that's why they're called the Citizen Band. Other bands, there's the Prairie Band in Kansas, Hannibal Band up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, the Canadian Band, there's 5 or 6, and I say 5 or 6 because every now and then another band will decide, well, we're closer to these people, so let's just form our own band right here. And they do, not Mississippi. Potawatomi Band, just within the last 20 years, formed their independent band. And there's talk of some others that might. Well, the Citizen Band got theirs, they became U.S. citizens. So that's why the name Citizen Band. I brought several things to show to you. And I'll pass them around so you can see them close. This is the letter. Got this from the microfilm from the Indiana State Library. This is the letter written August 27th, 1838. General Tipton, Logansport, Colonel Pepper, the Indian agent, has addressed a communication to me stating he is fully satisfied the temper and conduct of the Indians and white men on the Lake Potawatomi Reserve at Yellow River manifest hostile feelings and pretend hostile action, which there is too much reason to fear, which eventuate in shedding of blood, and requesting that 100 volunteers may be called into service for the purpose of preventing serious difficulty. That isn't a long sentence. But anyway, that's what started the Trail of Death. The letter there. And Father Bennett was with them on the Trail of Death. This is a picture of him that's kind of, where did you get that picture? I think you snapped the picture.
I took that picture
It's illegal
at
picture.
Spiegel Ball's house. I was one of the few that was allowed to take all the pictures of the Indians that was in her house.
Yeah. She gave a lot of her pictures to the Indiana Historical Society, but they're not in the book. I mean, not all of them are in the book. And Barbara Pettit's picture was not given to the Indiana Historical Society. So we actually got that from Evelyn Ball's house.
Might tell them where the rest of them went. Walmart.
Yeah, they sold them. It's, where is it? Arkansas?
Yeah, it's,
Yeah, it is. The Walmart daughter, what's her name?
You would ask me.
Well, anyway, Sam Walton's daughter started a museum down there, and she bought the pictures. So they disappeared. And for several years, everybody was angry, thinking, where the heck did those pictures go to? And finally, they admitted that they sold them to this daughter of Sam Walton. Yeah. So that's where they went, that is Indiana.
We went down to the museum, but they didn't have any of them displayed.
Yeah, I think they had received criticism, so they were kind of be quiet. Okay, this is Father Pettit on the back is kind of a stylized idea of St. Philippine Duchesne, who went as a missionary to the Potawatomi. They honored her, and she became a saint. She was, what do they call it, canonized as a saint in, I think, 1988. About the same time we started doing the Trail of Death caravans. We would organize caravans every 5 years and go from here to Kansas. And we might have 30 cars, and then another day we might only have 20. But whoever wanted to drop in with the caravan could as we went across our county. So we did this in a week. So, you know, you could just start out and drive over there in a few hours, but we didn't do it that way. We contacted all the county historical societies between here and Kansas and let them know we were coming, and they planned things, and we gave programs and really spread the news, because many of them had not heard of the Trail of Death. Well, you know, just continued and go through. They started from here. Well, this is let me show this one first. Okay, this is Chief Menomonee statue. And that's me in my Indian dress, and George Godfrey, who's a Potawatomi, in his Indian dress. Have any of you been to Menomonee statue? It's not far from Plymouth. You know, it's,
Just off the highway, isn't it?
Yeah, but,
31?
yeah, it's about 6 miles west
Oh,
of
really?
31.
yeah, you
But
turn,
they got it marked, so.
I see they got a sign
If
out
you
there.
take off on that road, you think you'll never get there, but it's on Beach Road.
That's
So
the
all
Twin
roads are
Lake, the
named
Twin
after
Lakes
trees,
area,
and
right?
this is on
Yeah.
Beach Road.
yeah, the statue of Chief Menomonee was at that time the only Indian statue paid for by a government, and it was paid for by the Indiana state government. And this is George Sugar. He wrote a song about the Trail of Death. His grandfather was the governor of Indiana, and George is a very good musician and songwriter. Did you pass that already? Put that to the side, so I don't pass it again.
So that, I don't think anybody else
There's
got
one right
Oh,
on.
did you? Oh, did you?
All right. They've seen enough every day, that's not bad.
Okay. How many of you heard of Jim Thorpe? He was declared the world's greatest athlete, or the United States' greatest athlete, I don't know. Anyway, in the year 2000, of the 20th century, and he had to do with the Trail of Death. His grandmother, Mansall, was on the Trail of Death, but they never talk about that. When you look up Jim Thorpe, it doesn't say anything about Trail of Death, Indiana. Of course not. He's listed as Sac and Fox. He wasn't, he was Potawatomi. Sac and Fox was his father's tribe, and Potawatomi was his mother's tribe, and usually you go out with your mother. Because the father, you know, he might be lying, maybe his father, maybe he's not, but the mother's not lying. She knows that she's the mother. So his granddaughter, Dagmar Thorpe, helped me to write this. And we have them for sale at the museum. What else do I have here? I brought a bunch of stuff to show you. Okay, this is a booklet that I put together, pictures that you can find on the internet. There's Sister Virginia Pearl looking at the Michigan Road, which tells about the Trail of Death and how the Michigan Road came to be. And it's by the Tippecanoe River there north of Rochester. And there's our museum, which I spearheaded the fundraising for and built a lot of the work interior, dividing it into rooms. And then these are the stones from each of the states that the Trail of Death passed through, and these are in front of our courthouse, the Trail of Death boulders.
They got them boulders with the names on them, came from that state. I know I hauled them back.
Yeah, we hauled it back. Well, he didn't want to ruin his pickup truck, so we rented a U-Haul to put the boulders in that. And then we have the Trail of Death diary, which we have on wooden signs that we put up at the Trail of Courage. And then this house was William Polk's house, and it's there at the Fulton County Museum. And that's the place where William Polk, where the Trail of Death treaty, I guess you would call it, was signed. And he was the first white man to settle in Fulton County. And settle means that he bought land. There were other people living here first, but he was the first one to buy land because he was the land surveyor. This shows a treaty tree, which was a sycamore tree, which they say, and this is just folklore, was made to bend over and touch the ground, and
They signed a peace treaty, some of them.
yeah. So I'll just pass that around. There's lots of good stuff in there. I looked up what they said about the Potawatomi and stuff on the internet, but they don't say anything personally about people, and Bill and I knew a lot of these people personally. So let's see what else is in here. Okay, this has a picture of Nassau, and the Potawatomi now have workshops to make these beautiful outfits, and they have contests and give prizes to the one who won. Let's see what this is. Oh, this is
She's a nun,
Yeah, she's a sister.
sister,
Sister.
not a brother.
Their mother was on her grandmother was on the trail of death.
Her grand-
Grandmother, yeah. Because she said that her mother gathered the kids around the kitchen table and told them the story about her mother. How she was on this march for many days and then crossed a big river, which would be the Mississippi. So Sister Virginia, has been active with us in preserving the history of the Trail of Death and giving historical markers. And the historical markers were all paid for by volunteers. And then this is George Godfrey with his red trumpet. He comes to the Trail of Courage every year and leads the Indian dancing. But he's not been well lately, so I'm hoping he'll get to come this year. But you know, the time's getting close when some of us older folks who saved the history aren't gonna be here for a while longer. And then the Indians of Indiana, that the Indiana Historical Society put out, and you can buy it a lot of times used off of the internet for, originally they sold for about $50, but I think they're down to 20 now, and sometimes you can get it for a snack. Because people a lot of times don't save their old books, they just put them up for sale. But this is a wonderful book, it has, I've got in it a marker. Well, there's Nassau. This is how George Winter saw her. And that did not show the bottom of the dress, so this shows her daughter, Marie, the bottom of the dress. So that's how I made my outfit. And they didn't waste a bit of material, because see, that came out of there. So when we made the outfit, why, we learned that they were very frugal. No use wasting material, I mean, stuff costs money.
One reason they knew what colors they were was when George Winters sketched them, he sketched them on pencil and wrote on the back what color each article was. And then they rendered in color.
And then he made colored paintings of them, but he couldn't get anyone to buy them. He tried to get the government to buy some, and he didn't have any of that. And so he would sell coupons or tickets, or whatever you want to call it, and give them away after he got enough money from the tickets. Isn't that pathetic that people didn't realize the history they were passing up? But that's the way it is.
I've got a question now. Primarily, we think of the Trail of Death, we're thinking of Indians from north of Fulton County and around Fulton County. There were Indians in Plaskite County at that time also.
Yes,
Were they
many of them
moved-
went on the Trail
Were
of
they
Death.
moved into that also?
Yes, they were rounded up.
So there's no history where they were rounded up or where
They were on the
in?
Trail of Death too, but there were many removals. But the most famous one here is the
And then-
Trail of Death.
The Trail of Death is just a small part of the same removal that was going on in the southeast with the Cherokees, the Trail of
Yeah,
Death, Trail
all
of
of them
Tears,
were
right?
Being
All
removed.
about the same time.
The Trail of Death had about 859 Potawatomi. So that's a pretty good sized group. When they stopped, they had a front man to go ahead, like the guy goes for the circus, goes ahead and gets the ground and gets the hay and gets the water for the elephants and so on. So they had a front man, which was William Polk's son. And he would find a place for them to camp, and I bet you anything, he had to pay the landowner. But can we find the receipts? No, they're bound to be someplace in Washington stashed away, probably in a cardboard box. And they stopped every day then to get hay and to get food, and we can't find receipts for anything. But we know that they were not gonna give it to them free. Yeah.
Was it all about the same time span though?
1830, it was Trail of Tears and Trail of Death. Yeah, Trail of Tears was the Cherokee.
And that was ordered by Jackson, right? Was Jackson president then?
Yeah, yes?
I know that in Indiana, like the establishment of the county sheriffs and that happened in the 1830s and that. What role did they play, or who was actually kind of rounding up the Indians and escorting them?
Well, William Polk was charged with actually rounding them up, and he was given authority to pay 100 volunteers. And we do have a list of the people he paid. if he paid a, organizer, he would get maybe $50, and then the other guys maybe get $10 or $20, depending on how long they actually went out on horseback and round them up. Yeah, there's a list. I think it's in this book, if I remember right. This,
We thought maybe it was about a 30-mile radius from, where they go out and gather everybody.
yeah, so that would take in part of, Marshall and, yeah, and, what's that one over there? Yeah, Pulaski. Yeah, yeah, they,
30 miles from Plymouth, they never touched us here.
yeah.
It depends, there's a bunch of big crowd, they grab it.
So Susan Campbell is a citizen band Potawatomi, and she and I put together this book, which we, at that time, were putting together about all the written material that there was about the Trail of Death, but of course we missed a couple. And so we tried to get all the references together, so this is a pretty good compilation of about everything that happened. And we still have these for sale at our museum. It's got some pictures, it's got deposition by Abram B. Burnett. Wishma was his Indian name, and in 1870, was interviewed and his deposition taken in a land dispute, and so he said, how do you say this? My name is Abram Burnett. I was born in the month of November 1812. I am now an agent for some Indians in a general way, and am also now engaged in farming. I reside in Shawnee County, Kansas. I have lived in Kansas at the place where I now reside about 21 or 22 years. I am a Potawatomi Indian. I am a full-blood Potawatomi. I was born on the north side of the Tippecanoe River, near a little place called Muncie. Okay, that's not Muncie, Indiana. Muncie means rocky place. So when he said he was born, it was a rocky place. And so his descendants, Tom Hamilton's grandsons, Tom brought his grandsons, 5 grandsons, and they were all Potawatomi, who were descended from Abram Burnett. And to find the rocky place, we decided it was probably Ernie Hyatt's farm, because it's very rocky, it's the right location, and, but Muncie is simply an Indian word, apparently it's not Muncie, Indiana. So this is the book that Susan Campbell and I put together about the Trail of Death with everything we could find at that time. I'm working on a new book. Still trying to get all the ears out of it. It doesn't have the table of contents right, the right numbers. Every time something happens, I think, well, this is jinx. I can't seem to get all the mistakes out so I can publish it and sell it. But one of these days I'll have it straightened out and it'll be for sale. And it's history of Fulton County that starts out with the Mastodon bones and Rochester's giant short-faced bear. Do you remember that? When the short-faced bear found in Indiana.
Is that at B. Williams's?
They got one.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
And then a giant bison bone was found here, and then I've got early residents of Fulton County in the fur trade. Did you ever hear of Joseph Truckee? He was a Potawatomi Indian that lived on the Tippecanoe River in Fulton County and had a trade building, a store. And of course, Abram Burnett, Shields and Lindsay, the first white settlers, and William Polk, and the letter that caused the Trail of Death, which didn't pass around. So all those things, I'm trying to get together in one book. Which my old age is getting harder and harder.
How many markers we got?
We got 80 historical markers on the Trail of Death.
And we've been to every one that was dedicated.
Yeah. Most of them were paid for by Boy Scouts who went around in the community and got donations and paid for it. Because if you get a big boulder, you're going to usually get it free, and either a farmer or the state highway department will move it for a Boy Scout for free. They won't move it free for everybody, but they will for a Boy Scout because we've had them. And then put a metal plaque on it, and the metal plaque only costs a couple $100. Go to a tombstone dealer and get a metal plaque. And so it was cheap enough that the Boy Scouts could afford to do it. You know, you get up into something $1,000 like the Indiana State Historical Society wants for their big markers. Gosh, they want a couple $1,000 for them. Boy Scouts can't do that. But a couple $100 they can do on a boulder, and it'll last longer too.
Now, out west, you have to buy them boulders, they don't give them away.
Yeah, we discovered that.
Around here, the farm will give them all.
Yeah.
Get them out of the
we found that out that they had to buy the borders in Missouri. But anyway, the Boy Scouts have been wonderful on doing this, and we had 3 sons, and our middle son did one of the markers. So that's what got started us in it. About what year was that? 1988, maybe?
Something like, yeah, no, he got his Eagle Award, no, the first in 76.
Yeah, you're right, it's earlier than I thought. Yeah, because he graduated from high school in 77, yeah, so he got the 76 trailer death marker. The first one. On the order, anyway. There was a sign up by Plymouth, it was just a small sign. We recommend that they put them on boulders because for one thing, a truck is gonna do its best to avoid hitting that boulder, but if it's a sign, a truck might just go right into it. So we feel like boulders are the most permanent thing you can get for a historical marker, and then put your little sign on there. But unfortunately, a couple signs have been stolen, and we have to have them made again. Boy, you just can't figure those people out, can you?
Yeah, the first marker was put out by our son, just south of Rochester on Mud Creek, and somebody stole the sign.
Yeah, the plaque on the rock.
So we made a new one and put it and rededicated it, and about 25 years later, here come a man from South Bend bringing that sign. He said, I found it in our garage.
Yeah,
He had 2 sons. So that's probably where it comes from.
But he made us promise we wouldn't tell nobody his name. In fact, I don't remember his name. Yeah.
So we got markers up, so if you start from the monument, they'll show you the route that the Indians took. They got markers, when you're supposed to turn, it's got an arrow and all that, all the way out to Kansas. So we did put them all out. The counties usually will put the signs out for us. So if you see,
Yeah, dig the hole, you know, put the,
coming from Rochester to Logansport, and then you'll see a sign that says Trail of Courage.
the trail of
Trail
death.
of Death, I mean.
Yeah, it's a white sign with black lettering, and it shows an Indian, well, it's actually a couple with the tattoos on the back, following an eagle. And that's, we've got them all the way to Kansas. So it's been a lot of work, and a lot of people have been involved with it.
But they never crossed the Tippecanoe River,
No, they didn't.
or even the Wabash, they stayed
Yeah,
on
stayed
the
on the
north
north
side.
side of the Wabash River. I guess there wasn't any bridge, and who wants to go wading across there with all your stuff, you know? You're back laden with all your stuff.
Shirley, the Yellow River Reservation was established in 1835. Is that probably when the Pulaski County Potawatomi were rounded up and sent to that reservation? Or would they have come out again in 1838 to...
Well, they actually rounded them up in 1838. The reservation, I guess, was kind of a treaty type thing that they signed papers for.
Right,
And said, this is the reservation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But as far as I know, the Pulaski County Indians were taken west on the Trail of Death.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they were, but I didn't know if they had been rounded up before then to be placed at the reservation, which was only about 22 miles from Winnemac,
Yeah.
as the crow flies.
Yeah, I can't say positively, but I'm pretty sure. And then the Miami Indians were rounded up in 1846.
Right.
And they were taken on a boat. They took them to Peru and put them on the canal and put them down the river and on out to Kansas. Yeah, and at that point, there were people who made a diary and kept track. There were 2 deaths on the Miami removal. But on the Potawatomi removal, there were, well, I think 38 or 40 or 42. As you count them going through there, you're not sure if you've got an accurate count because, okay, like the baby that died there in Fulton County, then they took, I think they took the dead baby to Logansport and buried it. But we don't know for sure. Was there another death then at Logansport? You know, you get kind of confused there as you read through the diary because they don't make it absolutely crystal clear.
And where the library, or the hospital is in Logansport is about where they camped.
Yeah.
300 of them stayed because they were sick.
Yeah,
And
they
they
put,
followed them up later. But what they've done is when they got done to the trail, they went to Osawatomie, Kansas. So there you are, you're home. You
Yeah.
got But they happened to be down at Sugar Creek already, so I mean, just down there, and they come up and took them down there, dead.
Yeah, when they got to Kansas, they did not have houses. And some people say, okay, they broke the treaty. No, the treaty does not say houses. You go through it, it's on the internet, you can look up the treaty, and it does not say houses. What was that general's name? Amaziah Morgan. It tells in the diary that Amaziah Morgan got close to the Indians and was drinking with them. So we think he was the one who told the Indians there would be houses. But the treaty does not say houses. And you know if it wasn't written down, you don't get it done. Can't, not in the treaty.
So the last part of September and October, you know what the weather is around here, and all they was allowed to take with them was what they could carry.
Which might be 13 pounds a piece, 15 pounds. How much would you carry if you were gonna start
You
walking?
may not end up with that much.
Throw it away, I'm not tired of carrying it.
So Mrs. Willard, who provided the provisions during the Trail of Death then?
The government,
They did.
yes.
But we're trying to find in the archives in Washington to see, try to find that box with all that stuff's in, because
Yeah,
they are
because-
there, because the government, government has to have papers before you can get money back.
Yeah, so every time they bought food for them, there had to be a receipt. And the guy would send it into Washington to get paid. Well, we can't find that. It's probably in a cardboard box sitting in a hallway or closet someplace in the National Archives. We had one of our members go there and look, and he didn't find
If you got plenty of time, you can go of course.
it. Yeah,
We appreciate it.
yeah, it'd be a great discovery. Wow, we
Boy,
really
it
jumping down
It
the side.
can show you the exact route the way they went, but we're pretty close to where they're at, so.
Yeah, we could tell from the names of the towns they passed through and, the places that fed them and, like when they marched through Springfield, Illinois, they, dressed up in their finest clothing because they didn't wanna go through the streets and everybody looking at them and then being ragtag clothes. And, some people have criticized that, saying, oh, they can dress up for them because, it made it look better for the white men. And I say, look, if I'm gonna march through Illinois in the streets and put on my best clothes, I'm not gonna go like a ragtag. So I think the women insisted on it. Would you wanna walk down the main street looking raggedy? No, if I had them with me, I'd get out my best clothes. And they did have them with them. They had the best clothes with them.
Well, see, that was in Springfield, wasn't it? That they-
Yeah. Then they crossed the, Missouri River on a steamboat. And, it took them several passes back and forth, to get them all on one side. And so they spent the night there. Several times the diary says that they took time off and spent a day for people to do their laundry and to catch up to them, or shit that they needed to do, just rest. There were enough horses, or pretty close to enough horses, they did all right. But, have you ever ridden a horse?
So what was the actual duration of their moving from Indiana to Kansas? That's gotta be close to 800,000 miles.
No, 660 miles.
To Kansas. And how many days did that take?
60 days,
60 days.
about 2
2
months.
months.
Yeah, one of the Lady Potawatomi ladies wrote a book called Two Moon Journey. And the Indiana Historical Society published it. It's a very nice book. Two Moon Journey.
You think they were horses?
Some of them did, yeah, they had about 286 horses, which was real close to enough, and then they, I don't know why they didn't get this all in the diary, because we found in the, financial reports that they hired a team of oxen in Danville, Illinois, and somehow that didn't get in the diary. Whatever the guy thought was important, I guess, or whatever he happened to see that day went in the diary. But, yeah, the government was supposed to be paying for it and paying for all the food, so you know that, William Polk and his son they had to have their receipts and turn them in, they just had to. But where'd the receipts go?
So what did you say the death toll was then, if they were?
It varies from 38 to 42. Yeah, we don't know exactly.
Of course. Yeah, we don't know if there's more or less, or what, but we know there were that many.
Yeah, probably about that. From 38 to 42, there's only this, number 4, so he might have missed 4 of them. But Father Pettit went with them, and he performed the burial service for each one. And then, out there in Kansas, he got sick and stayed at the, we were there, what's the name of that place? It's the Kansas Diocese, right there by the river.
Sugar Creek?
No, in downtown Kansas.
I can't remember that.
So when they arrived in Kansas then, theoretically, was that a reservation?
No,
No?
that was just,
No.
where'd you lose? I'm
I
not
mean,
even sure.
they gave them no land in Kansas?
They gave them land, but there were no houses. Yeah.
Now, where they ended up down at Sugar Creek, they had sides of a, not called hills, but it was a rock formation, and they had, I'd say trails through, or not trails, but
The
broken
creek
spots,
went through.
that they
Yeah.
could throw a tent over and be off of the shelter, but
Yeah, next to the rocks, they could,
into the
And
rock.
then over the years, did they just kind of like trickle away from there? Or?
yeah, within 3
Yeah.
months, within
3
3
months.
months, they had moved to, what's
Now,
the
they're,
Did they
now
move in
they're,
mass?
they're at Sugar Creek, they've got the well that they dug, it's still there, but they, you know, they won't let you.
Did they more or less stay in mass and all go to the same location after that, or did they just
they
kind
had
of?
2 places usually, then someone went on to Oklahoma and someone stayed in Kansas. They were given land, they would go by families, and they would give maybe the Wabonse family 20 acres, and then maybe the, another family 50 acres, depending on how many members there were in the family. Yeah. So there's lots of things to know about it, and there's things we haven't uncovered yet.
So there was no 40 acres in a mule or anything?
No.
They were pretty much left in their own
Now, that was for,
whims or whatever?
that was for the black people after the Civil War, was what they probably didn't get it either. Our government makes a lot of promises that you know don't happen.
You mentioned about a Catholic priest and
Yeah, Father Pettit.
then, what were some of the spirituality beliefs with the Menomonee in,
They were almost all Catholic at that time.
is that right?
The ones that were on the trail there.
Wow.
Now, DeShane, she went down to Sugar Creek.
Yeah, she was a missionary too, yeah. So they were still teaching the children, the catechism. Yeah.
And she would go out and pray all night. They thought she was fooling them. But when she was there that night, they laid pebbles around her road, on the road. The next morning, they had not been moved, so they knew that she'd been there all night. That's why they called her she who prays all.
And she was
And she was canonized in 88, well, not 88.
Yeah, it was 88.
Yeah, when we went out there on our first trip to Sugar
Saint
Creek.
Philippine Duchesne. I inquired what it takes to become a saint, and they said you have to have a couple of miracles attributed to that person. Because I thought Father Pettit should be named a saint. But I don't know of any miracles.
Yeah, my Father Pettit's diary is on Facebook, or Notre
Notre
Dame.
Dame, yeah. Yeah, the original handwritten diary for Father Pettit is,
But it's on my French.
Notre Dame Library. Yeah, we went up there to see it. Because it's written in French. We couldn't read it. So much French. Yeah, you can get copies of it in French. Anymore, you find almost everything on the internet. So you might try asking Father Pettit's diary in French. It'll come up, who knows? If somebody did it and put it on the internet, it's there. I'm amazed, and it's a wonderful resource to have all this stuff on the internet. Because used to, you had to travel all those places and look, and you'd ask for it, and you'd get depending on whether it's a volunteer or whether it's a person that worked there, and, you know, now since she's here. We made a list of all the problems, I think we know we had that, we got a list of.
I think I've been, to several of your different functions over there. And I think I heard you or somebody make a statement there were that 20 to 30 or 40% of the people in Fulton County can trace their ancestors back to Native Americans. Is that right? Have you heard that from over there? I know I've heard something similar to that over there.
I don't know, or whether it meant, just the people that were camping into the Tree of Courage. Yeah, I can't answer that, I don't know.
Oh, you got it.
Yeah, but Potawatomi that we have known, and many of you probably know Potawatomi, don't even know that they're Potawatomi, because they don't go around carrying a sign or a name tag or anything. Jerry Lewis and his brother Mike, they lived in Chicago. Jerry was a school teacher, and he's the first Potawatomi that belonged to the citizen band that I met. He was a coyote. That means a shape chaser, a shape changer. We had a picture taken of him with us, and I had a feeling that he didn't really want his picture taken. And sure enough, when he got the bill back, he wasn't in it. A coyote. And then my next door neighbor, Joanne Carpenter, and she's married in McClellan, I knew when she was a little kid that she said she was Potawatomi, but I didn't believe her. She's lived on the neighboring farm, why would I believe her?
Okay, he turned out to be Cherokees.
Well, she's part Cherokee, but she's also part Potawatomi. And then the main person that's worked with us all these years is George Godfrey, and he's the one in the red shirt. Right there. And Susan Campbell, she lives in Hawaii now, but she was living in Seattle, and we put together that book. And Tom Hamilton, I will never forget the day he walked in the museum, the first time I ever met him, way back in 1982 or something, a long time ago. But he's descended from Abram Burnett, who was one of the principal chiefs here, and he shared his history with us, and we worked with him for many years. And then the Pearl family, Bob and Janet Pearl, and his sister Virginia. Tracy Locke lives at Lafayette, and her daughter Erin, they're both citizens of Potawatomi. Bill Amigo and his daughters, they come from Tulsa, and they gave talks at the Trail of Courage, and sometimes they would give talks at the museum. His oldest daughter is Carmelita, and then Jeannie, and Catherine. In Paxico, Wabansi, now there's a story for itself. When we were going on the Trail of Death caravan, we got to, where Paxico was in the water. No, he was in the middle of the river, his trucking. He got stuck in the middle of the creek.
That was when we was going, he was coming to meet his cousin he hadn't seen for 28 years. Or 29, Bill Wamigo, and we made the wrong turn. I did, so everybody followed me. So anyway, we went out the highway, got down the other road, we seen the shrine, so we took it. We drove for about a mile, just nothing but water. Sometimes the road was covered with water, wasn't so. And we curved the bend, there was an old truck sitting there, and the guy on the car on the top of the truck waving. That was Paxico. He said he fired 4 shots in the air, and then he got thinking, well, maybe 3 for help.
But there were no
nobody
houses
building
close.
around, so
Nobody
we
really-
rescued him out of the pond because he was afraid of the water. And so
He thought there might be snakes in the water, and he couldn't swim.
it was flooded that time, and I'll tell you, it was. And then we had to turn all our vehicles around and go back a mile. I had a fifth wheel. We could not back that, turn it around. So I had a friend of mine behind me, go slow, and I backed that trailer all the way for a mile, never had to stop and go forward, and I just straight back it. Good Lord was with me.
On the tail lights and.
Yeah, I could follow that back. Yeah,
And Paxico came and spent time at the Trail of Courage, and then you went to take him up to the airport at South Bend, so he'd go home to Kansas. He was in a wheelchair, and
I got him on the airplane.
they'll take him in the wheelchair onto the airplane, and gave the little kiss.
That was the last we seen him. He left his pipe and something
And
else
his
at our
toothbrush,
house. He
his
forgot.
toothbrush, and his pipe were at our house. And, but
He said, I'll be back to get him, but
he didn't make it, yeah. But then Dagmar Thorpe, her, was it grandfather, you got red book?
Yeah, Jim
Yes,
Ford,
James.
granddaughter.
Yeah, the greatest athlete of the 20th century, yeah. So she helped me put that together. She was studying at Indiana University, and we went down and picked her up and I don't know, visited, and I remember she slept at our house, but, she must have been having dreams because she kept talking all night. Disturbing Dagmar. Father George Mattu, he was the oldest Potawatomi priest in the United States, and he went with us on the caravan. Oh, probably the first one, wasn't it, 1988?
Yeah,
He did, an eagle dance. When we were, was that St. Louis?
no, before we got there.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess it was, we seen that,
Yeah.
trailer court there.
Yeah.
I tell you, some of the Indians got some real beautiful dances.
And they make, beautiful outfits. They, have classes to teach the making of the outfits and give prizes for the one who's made the prettiest and all sorts of stuff. It's, then another one was Danny Ferris. Danny was the cousin of Bill Amigo Jr. And, we had them ride, a jail wagon, being pulled by horses. In, what was it, the 1988 Down Barn Festival or something?
Yeah,
Yeah,
all three of them were changing a wagon. No, that was 76.
I think it was
Well, Alan was leaving.
Yeah, but you're right, because he made the little cage. He just took, 2x2s and put together a box and put it on a wagon. We hired a horse and wagon to come and pull it, and that was the Shirley death representation that we gave in the parade. Yeah. So that's many of the Potawatomi that we've known and treasured meeting them and hearing their history, and I tried to record a lot of it, but I need to go down through each one of them and write on the list. I probably should look at it. Before I get going.
You made a couple of references to the citizens band of the Potawatomi Indians. And I'm having trouble wrapping my head around the idea that Native Americans had to become naturalized citizens of the U.S. and pledge allegiance to a government set up by immigrants to this,
Yeah, but at that time, see, they were considered a separate nation. Each one of the Potawatomi and the other tribes were considered separate nations, and they made treaties with them and separate. So they were treating them equal to the United States. And the last treaty was made in 1881. Yeah, you can go into your computer and ask for the treaties, and it'll bring the whole treaty up, and you can read through it, see if you all signed it, and what the stipulations were, and on those around here, it said they would go west in 2 years. So when they signed the treaty, they knew that they were gonna have to go.
Also, what was it, what year was that? It was, out at Sugar Creek getting ready to disband, and the Indians adopted Shirley and I and gave us our Indian names, so we proud to get that.
My Indian name is Queen Algo, which means woman of history.
And the guy, the Indian that gave us these names had no idea what we had.
Yeah, he was a spiritual person who taught us when he had a dream or something, he said. And then Bill's name is Wabnosa.
That means early riser, which I get, I feel it.
So they marched the Potawatomi off, but the Miami were still here.
Yeah, they
Right,
didn't
in
force it.
1846, they put the Miami on boats, and they were forced to leave.
They held out for one of the cruise ships.
No. I don't know those, but there were a couple babies died on the Miami River.
Yeah. It wasn't safe travel, but
I think now that Miami County's doing something to recognize it, but they didn't for years, We started recognizing the Trail of Death with the Potawatomi long ago, but, they either haven't made a big deal of it, or the newspapers just had to carry it, because people have told me that they had followed the Miami Indians down to the riverbank and they got on the boat, and that's been going on since the 1930s. I never told anybody, they didn't get the papers.
Cause in Miami, that would have been Menomonee,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
They were down, she was actually a Quaker, but, initially, but,
Yeah, her family was allowed to stay, the Slocum family got to stay.
yes, because she was white.
Yeah. Yeah, but they rounded up the others.
She was a Quaker, and, her brother thought he was doing her a favor by getting her, she could own ground,
Yeah,
because because her brother went to whatever the thing was, and deeded her, got her.
yeah, I
she
think he
could
went
own
to
ground.
Congress. I think he went to Congress. Yeah, he went someplace and got her deeded land so that she could stay. But she was an old woman at that time, she didn't.
Yeah,
want to
she
stay.
was, when they were taking him out. But yeah, so that was the Miami, were more so down around
Miami County.
Miami County, but Peru, and then they probably came up in Cass County now too, and over around.
Yeah, now somebody told
I
me.
know they're pretty scattered out, but
Somebody told me that the borderline between Fulton County and Miami and Cass County was actually the Indian line between the Potawatomi and the Miami. I don't remember who told me that. Yeah, but might be true.
cause I know now, would that have been in Cass County, they have, where it's Indian Trail Winery, that was supposedly an Indian trail, cause there's an Indian Trail school. Was an Indian school that came up through there, and I assume most of the tribes used that going north
Is
and
that
south.
in Miami County?
I don't know, I know where it is in Cass County, it's just
Oh,
inside of
okay.
Laurel Center.
Yeah, they have an Indian school someplace. Is that Cass County?
Well, it was called Indian Trail School, but that was a white name for it, just because that supposedly was an Indian trail, that road here.
Yeah, I've heard of it, but I haven't been there.
It looks like a county highway. But that was just their school.
Here, you know,
Indian
that
Trail,
was-
Winery, Indian Trail.
And that's it, located in the precinct, Willard Center.
Yeah.
That is what they mean, is it?
Let's see.
Madison,
So
Wisconsin.
Bill and I tell
Well,
you
this you can
about.
go built from Madison,
That's
Wisconsin,
what we met, you know,
to South Bend, Indiana.
not the history that they weren't there in the
Evidently, I never, of
books and the Wikipedia and all that stuff, we tell you about people.
course, the Michigan road goes all
I
the
think
way down to.
the lady, the one that was at, I can't remember her name now, that Bruce Lake there, you've got a stone there by the old blacksmith shop,
No,
right there, her name, she was
couldn't be
supposed to
because
That's all.
Madison,
Yeah,
Indiana,
she
should
was supposed to
be
be quite a card player too, so.
north of
Yeah.
South Bend.
That's the one that I impersonated my friend.
Yeah, she was supposed to be quite good. They joke about the Bruce, and she probably played with him America, Bruce.
Built from Madison, Wisconsin. They go around to Chicago now.
Whatever you want.
I guess.
I don't know, that's just what.
That's outside Indiana, I'm not.
Yeah, that's